Welcome to The Real Heal, a show featuring real, raw, and authentic conversations between experts in the holistic health space. I am your host, Dr. Renee Wallenstein, also known as the Libidoologist, double board certified doc, entrepreneur, as well as healthcare disruptor. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Okay, so today I want to discuss one way in which you can stop dieting. I've become really passionate about the dieting world, and I don't want to say I'm anti-diet, but I kind of am anti-diet just because of the women I work with have been dieting their entire life, including myself. And many of us have consistently failed, maybe gained weight back, maybe gone on this vicious cycle of, deprivation all week and then indulgence over the weekend to the point where it leads to this incredible amount of guilt and shame come Monday. And then again, we're looking for either the next best diet or getting back on the quote unquote bandwagon on Monday. And, when I looked at my own life and my own dieting history and the fact that I grew up in a dieting household, dieted pretty much my entire life. And, the culmination, I think, of my dieting lifestyle came when I was a bodybuilder. And that was extreme dieting and extreme under eating and extreme over exercising to get to a particular physique to step on stage for 5 minutes. And, a lot when you're in that world, and I've just recently come out to talk a lot about it a lot more, but when you're in that world, you don't realize that a lot of the behaviors are dysfunctional. I had disordered eating, which continued for many years after I stopped competing. So I competed for 2 years, and then I always say I snapped out of it. And that was in 2018. I continued to diet for a few more years. And here's the thing. I came into 2022 with some issues with my hip, some pretty debilitating pain. I couldn't exercise. I could barely walk. I was gaining weight. Come to find out I needed surgery from an injury that occurred 10 years ago. And what does that do to your mind, right? Like, you're like, oh, I've had this for 10 years. Why didn't anyone find it? All the things. So I actually went in this like downward spiral mentally of, anger and frustration and all the things. And of course, what do many women do is we turn to food. And so, from years of dieting and not wanting to I'm tired of restricting, right? I'm tired of living my entire life restricting, worrying about what I'm going to eat, worrying about what, planning all the things that I sort of went the other way. And I was just chronically binging and eating whatever the heck I wanted. And, over the course of 2022, I was actually wondering, like, gosh, is there a place for moderation in my world? And I started playing with some tools. However, a lot of my colleagues actually, when I look left and right, they're all talking about, certain particular diets and cutting out carbs or counting macros or all the things. And I'm thinking, gosh, is it wrong of me to just help women learn how to eat in moderation so they don't ever have to diet again? Is there such a thing? So I started practicing some of this myself. And then I stumbled upon a mentor about a month ago. And, she was sort of putting words to all of the things that I was doing. And I feel like it gave me permission to sort of come out into the world and sort of put my stake in the ground and say, this is how I'm going to help women, at least to start adopting a healthier relationship with food, get over their food obsession. Because at the end of the day, when I work with women with low energy, low libido, weight issues, what I find a common underlying factor is that they have been dieting their whole life and they go through this cycle that I was just talking about, the whole indulgence and restriction and that process weekly, and come Thursday, Friday, they're exhausted, they cave, quote unquote cave, they eat whatever they want. And again, they jump back on the bandwagon feeling extreme guilt and shame on Monday. And what happens is they either continue this process or they just throw in the towel and they say they're done with dieting, and then they continue to just eat what they want and gain weight and feel awful about themselves and call themselves names like I'm weak, I'm a failure, I can't ever stick to a diet, all the things that I hear over and over from women. And so what I want to talk about today is, one tip that I can give you on this short episode of how you can sort of start breaking that dieting cycle. And one thing that you can do to start moving the needle towards a healthier relationship with food. But not only that, probably down the road, once you reestablish a healthier relationship, weight loss. Because this is one thing that you can do to start decreasing what they call the mental load. So here's the reality. Our prefrontal cortex, a part of our brain, can only process a certain amount of thoughts in a day. And we have billions and billions of information, bits of information coming at us from left, from right, all over. And what happens is our brain has to filter in a 24-hour period what is important and what is not important, right? And we have to do this day after day. So there's all this information, you compound that with the stress that many of us feel, especially the women I work with. We got the work and the kids and the house and all the things. And then you come, and then she's trying to diet. So then she's trying to follow all the quote, quote rules that women often try to follow. Maybe she's on keto, and I'm not going to bash keto. This is not a keto bashing episode, but do I think keto is great for certain people? Absolutely. For a long-term solution? Absolutely not. For short-term medical issues, especially, or weight issues or diabetes, perhaps. But the problem is everyone jumps on the same diet. They follow the same rules. They can only have so many carbs. So they become obsessed with not only what they're eating, but how much, and they're, so there's the thought of the food, but there's a thought of the planning. To get all that. And then you also have all of the daily information coming in from non-food and non-diet related things. So is it any wonder that towards the end of the week, when you've been doing this since Monday, because you were all gung-ho on Monday, right? Come Thursday, or even let's not even take Thursday. Let's take Monday night, right? It's a Monday, back to work. So stressful, right? Your emails have piled up from the weekend, and everything's breaking down. Everyone's coming to you with problems, and you started this new diet, and now you can't have any carbs. And again, I'm not villainizing. Is that even a word? Keto. It's just what's on my brain right now. And so you can't have any carbs, right? Or your coach said you can only have, less than 20 grams of carbs, and you've planned out these carbs, but you're so stressed that you just want a piece of bread, right? But you can't have that piece of bread. So what else are you going to have? So you're thinking about that, and you're thinking about, gosh, when's lunch coming? I'm so hungry. I can't wait to eat lunch. Oh, wait, something else broke down. Oh, wait, someone else is having a problem. You do this all day long. You get to Monday night, or, Monday night when you roll in at 7:00 when you're supposed to be home at 5. Kids are screaming, what's for dinner, right? We need food. Homework's not going well. Husband comes in cranky from work. What are you going to do? You're already exhausted from the day. Now you started this diet. Now you have all this planning of what am I going to be eating? And so you potentially have hit your mental load as of Monday night, and you have a piece of bread. Dang it. You had a piece of bread. Maybe you have 3 because you're so hungry, right? And then you guilt and shame yourself, maybe if not that night, by the next morning, but now the next morning you've had hopefully a good night's sleep, and your mental load, you're like, okay, I can do this again. It's Tuesday, I can do this. Or maybe you're on the other end where you can actually white knuckle it until about Thursday, Friday with all of the rules, all the dieting rules that you're following, in addition to everything else that's coming your way. And come Thursday night, oh, we're so close to the weekend, right? Come Friday, you're like, oh, I can relax. Give me that glass of wine and that bag of chips. Oh, crap. I can't have it on my diet. Oh, what the heck? I am so exhausted. The kids have stressed me out. My job is awful. I hate my job, all the things. And you just eat it. And then what do you say? If you don't say it Saturday night, Friday night, you say it Saturday morning. You say, the heck with it. I'm a failure. I have no motivation. I'm no good at this. I'm just going to eat what I want because you know what? My diet is ruined now. You do this for the weekend, and then come Sunday night, you're like, oh, My pants aren't fitting. I'm so bloated. I feel awful. I'm tired. Let's try this again tomorrow. And then the cycle begins again. Again, either begins again or you just completely throw in the towel. What if I told you that instead of, why don't we try to throw out all of the big rules, right? Why don't you, and here's what I see. It is a vicious cycle. Here's what I see. I see women, and again, I have a new program beginning next week, whereby I'm going to help women overcome food obsession. I'm going to give them tools to develop a healthier relationship with food, but it's not a diet. We do not necessarily talk about weight loss. That's not the goal. However, if we establish healthy relationships with food and throw out the rules and just start enjoying food for what it is, weight loss can follow, right? You just have to get the basics down. And that's my goal. I never want women to diet again. I want women to have a healthy relationship with food, see food for what it is, which is nutrition and fuel for our bodies, not a macronutrient, not a calorie, not, what portion of the plate it should take up. I really want them to really start. And not only that, what does the food do to your body, right? So there's a huge mindfulness component to this that we're going to be delving into. But the one thing that I want you to start doing today is let's throw all the rules out, right? Just give me 2 weeks, just throw all the rules out. And I want you instead to start committing to 3 daily diet goals. Okay. So for instance, what are 3 things that you really like to do already? Because that's what we don't talk about. We don't talk about, myself included. I say, oh, most of the days I'm good. And in the evening I cave, right? That's not true. Is this you? You have a healthy breakfast, you have a healthy lunch and dinner. Maybe you have like one thing that's kind of not your usual, or maybe God forbid you have a dessert, right? But then as women, especially, we focus on that one thing that we had that we don't normally have, and we obsess about it. And then we feel guilty and shame about this one thing. Meanwhile, we were great the whole day. So I'm like, why are we doing this? So what I really want to encourage you is throw the rules out for a bit. Aim to not take things out, but let's aim to put 3 things in that we probably are already doing, maybe not consistently, maybe not every day. Put those 3 things in. I would say, not even 80%. Let's strive for 90% a week, right? Most days of the week, you do these 3 things. So it can be something related to food, and I'll give you my examples in a second. Something related to food, or something like a behavior around food, right? Let's leave exercise out of this. Let's leave all the other things out of it. But there's going to be some criteria that I want you to sort of keep in mind when we're talking about these daily goals. Number 1, you have to like it. If you're already doing it, chances are you probably like it, right? Let's kind of analyze in a day-to-day basis, what is one thing that you like, that you think, okay, I want to ultimately lose weight. What's one thing in the day that you are doing that's on the healthier side that you can commit to doing every day? Okay. Number 2, it has to be easy. I find the women I work with are already so overwhelmed and so stressed, which is really why I started talking more and more about this, because we already have a lot on our plate. And when I start adding on all these rules and all these can'ts, I actually was just reviewing applications. Someone said in one of the applications to work with me that she's tired of being told no when it comes to being able to do something. Like, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. So she shuts down and she fails, right? I don't want to say that I hate the word fails, but like, she considers in her brain a failure. I'm weak. I can't do this. I'm not motivated. I'm not disciplined. All the words that we can come up with. But it's not that she's weak or unmotivated. She just, or lacks willpower. Her mental load is just so high that when, again, we have to make all these decisions on top of like, okay, how much food am I eating? What am I eating? All that, we break. And what gives? Our nutrition gives, our diet gives. generally as women, our own self-care is the thing that gives. We give to others, right? And if that means, okay, I want to move the needle forward with my nutrition. However, you know, my kids need dinner and I don't have anything planned, like that scenario I was just talking about in the beginning of the episode. You know, you get home and the kids are screaming, they're fighting, the homework's not done, the husband's grumpy, like you're just like, the heck with it. Let's just order a pizza. And I'm not saying pizza is bad, but you do that more nights than not. And especially if you're that Monday on a diet and you just ordered pizza, you're like, oh, I can't even do one day. So rule number 2, I said not doing rules. Guideline number 2, it has to be easy. It has to feel easy to you. So again, look at what you're doing on a daily basis. What is on the healthier side and what feels easy? If it means, you know, cooking a 5-course meal because you got to get your veggies and your fruits and all the things in there, and that doesn't feel easy, it feels hard, which is why you don't do it. Don't do that. Don't make that a daily commitment. And last criteria for this daily goal is that it has to be something that is going to get you closer to your goal. And again, with the women I work with, it's usually weight loss because they gain weight, they plateau, they can't lose weight, they hit perimenopause, all the things that's affecting how they feel about their body and ultimately their energy and their desire for intimacy. So again, stop taking things out. Stop with all of the rules and let's analyze what you're already doing, because chances are you're already probably doing a lot that could potentially move the needle towards where you want to go. We just got to do more of it. So why don't we just look at your day, look at what you're doing on a daily basis that you like. And I'm going to tell you mine. And then it has to be easy and it has to sort of be on the scale of moving, you know, again, if it's eating a bag of chips a day, sure, we all would love to do that, but that's pretty easy to do. And I would like that too. However, it's got to fulfill that last criteria, which is it going to get me to the point of losing up 2 pounds this month? Maybe, you know, if that's what your goal is, or not even weight loss. How about weight maintenance, right? Not gaining weight. So in doing these 3 things, we're going to decrease our mental load because we're not obsessing about food all day, every day. We're not thinking of like, oh gosh, what am I having next? Right? So here are mine. Here, my 3 are protein at every meal. I know it's very broad, right? However, I found some days I really love protein. It satiates us, right? It's good for our muscle building. You know, it's good. It's good for our DNA. Like we need protein. However, there were some days where I'd just throw a salad together and I didn't have any hard-boiled eggs. I didn't have any chicken to put on top. I didn't really have anything because I eat animal protein. And so I would just skip it. Big deal? No. But if I keep doing that, is it a potentially big deal? Yeah. Why? Well, protein's really very important macronutrient overall. And number 2, it might leave me craving foods in the afternoon when if I just had that protein, I may not have the cravings. Okay. And I'll talk another time about using our body signals, some feedback from our body as far as whether or not we're on course with how we should be eating. And I don't like the word should, but this is why I don't always love keto and, you know, and Whole30 and all those things, is because I find that we as women, we have to really use the signals from our body to determine whether or not something is beneficial for us, or, you know, and again, these can always change. And those include things like cravings. Like if I had that salad without protein, without eggs, steak, salmon, whatever, tuna, whatever it may be, I might be hungry. So if that were the case, I'm like, oh, I was a little hungry. Maybe and here's the other thing that would further move the needle forward is if you find you have that salad with protein. And this is what I personally do. If I find I'm having a craving, and again, cravings are not bad. They are just a signal from our body that we need to tweak something. Your body's not satisfied. Is it true hunger, or is it, or a craving? If it's a craving, like, and I'm not against giving into a craving, having a piece of chocolate or a cookie or whatever, But once again, if we keep doing that, it's moving the needle away from where we want to go, right? So use that feedback of, I'm having a craving. What could have I had more at lunch, more protein maybe, so I'm not so hungry at 2, 3, 4 o'clock. So mine, protein for every meal. And again, I'm a big smoothie person, right? I don't know, everyone's not a smoothie person, but for me, I like them. They're easy and they are moving the needle towards my goal of weight maintenance or weight loss. So I make sure that I put, okay, you can't really put chicken in there, can you? I put protein powder in my smoothie. And so this just makes sure that every meal, and again, here's the other thing I'm not doing. A lot of women are like, okay, I weigh this much, I need this much protein per meal, right? More strain on the brain, more strain on that mental load. If you're thinking of getting a certain grams of protein per meal, there goes a little more of that mental load out the window that we might need to keep, I don't even say our willpower, but keep in the game of like, okay, let's keep moving the needle forward with where we want to go with our nutrition. So I just aim to get protein, period. For instance, today, just now, just got done eating lunch. I had a salad and I had kebab, 2 pieces of kebab. Sometimes they're from Trader Joe's, easy, right? I throw them in the oven as I'm doing work, throw a salad together, not a fancy salad, put some pumpkin seeds on top, some dressing. Little hack here. If you like dressing, sometimes you can dilute it with a little water and make it go a little further, right? And some days I have 3. Some days I'm hungrier than others. Okay. So that's what I personally do. It's easy. I like it, and it's moving the dial forward, having protein. Another thing is having veggies every meal. Statistically, 97% of Americans don't get enough fiber, period. And a lot of our fiber comes from veggies. So I can easily have a meal without veggies. I can have 2 meals without veggies. I like veggies, but I made it a commitment every day that I'm going to have veggies in every meal, at least 90% of the time during the week. What does that look like if you have a smoothie? I put spinach in there. I put cauliflower in there. I put some sort of, even if I have to even put like a greens in there, I do, like a greens powder. Easy. For lunch, I generally have either, Trader Joe's has these great like veggie hashes that, some with sweet potatoes, some without, that you can mix with scrambled eggs. You can mix in a salad. Of course, a salad's already giving you your greens. Like you can, and this, I say this because I've had this often. I'll put it, my beef kebabs over that. Easy, super easy. Okay. And then of course, I think many Americans find it easier to have a veggie at dinner, but it's not so easy at breakfast and lunch, right? So I make it a daily goal to move the needle towards where I want it to go, to have a veggie at every meal. The third thing in my personal daily goals is water. And I know that sounds weird because if you watch my stories on Instagram, I always have water. However, recently I found that I got this really big water bottle, and I was carrying it back and forth to the car, and it's really big. And sometimes I have a lot of things in my hands and the dog and all the things, that I started leaving it at home and going hours on end in the car without water. And I found that I wasn't getting my water in. So what I personally did is, number one, I made it a daily goal to get my water in. I put it at the forefront of my brain. Number two, I bought another stainless steel container that's a little bit smaller to keep in the house. And if you're on camera, if you're on YouTube or TikTok, you see what I have now. I actually keep this in the house. And then my other one, since it's stainless steel, I actually usually in the morning when I go to the car to bring the kids to school, I'll put it in the car and it will stay there all day until the nighttime. So my last trip out, I bring it back in. That way I always have water in the car and I always have water at home. And I find, and again, it's one of my 3 daily goals. I am getting my water in. Sometimes I have a little sea salt in there for my electrolytes. Sometimes I have lemon, change it up. But again, it's what needs to be a goal for me right now. Now, here's the thing with your 3 goals. They can change. So when you start mastering the protein in the veggies and the water, you can evaluate again. Okay, let's look at this again. Or the other thing I should say is if you're not hitting it consistently, you might want to change them up as well. The goal is to hit these 3 goals daily, 90% of the time during the week. And again, the 3 criteria: make sure it's something you really like, make sure it's something that doesn't feel hard, and make sure that it is going to move you towards your goal. And again, I think we all know we're talking about weight loss here, because this is an episode on, how to stop dieting. And, and again, give me a chance, right? Just throw the rules out the window for a couple weeks and give this a chance, give this a shot, because I'm guaranteed and you can take if you like what I'm talking about and you like these 3 goals a day, make them your goals if they fit into your lifestyle. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I am all about personalized everything, including nutrition. It has to feel good to you. You have to like it. It has to feel easy, and it has to feel like it's something that you can stick with 90% of the week, and something that can move the needle forward when it comes to your goals. And again, weight loss goals or weight maintenance, whatever the case may be. And I think what you're going to find is that, getting your water in, having protein and veggies at every meal, you're probably not going to be having the cravings. You're not going to be as hungry. You're not going to be snacking. And you're going to be your mental load is going to be a whole lot better at either the end of the night, especially on a Monday night or on a Thursday night, because you haven't been consistently thinking of, oh my gosh, how many carbs can I have? How much protein can I have? Oh my gosh, what am I having for dinner? What are we feeding the kids? You still have to think about what you're feeding the kids, but I don't want you to be as strict. Like, I want you to say, okay, got to feed the kids tonight. I'm going to make sure I have a protein and a veggie, period. I'm not talking about sugar. I'm not talking about organic and non-organic. That's the other thing I find with the women I start with on this food obsession journey is, and myself included, we got to throw all of the super healthy rules out the window, right? Like, let's just start with the basics. So this is your one thing that you can start. That's very basic. We're not talking organic. I'm not telling you to throw your diet soda out the window yet. Let's work with what you're already doing and tweak that and see where we can get before we make any changes. Okay. So I hope this really helped. Come find me on Instagram at Dr. Renee Wellenstein, at TikTok, Dr. Renee Wellenstein. Let me know what you thought. Here on YouTube, let me know what you thought about the episode, because I think this is a huge dial mover for many women out there. And I think we need to start taking our brain power and putting it to better use, and not just obsessing about, food and timing of food and all the things, and just start focusing on 3 things a day. That's it. That's going to move the needle forward to where you want to go. That's it. That's what I want you to do this week, next week. If it starts working, please message me, let me know, tag me on any of the social media platforms that I am in or on. I'd love to hear. Okay. So I look forward to coming back for weekly episodes on The Real Heal, intimate conversations with holistic health experts. I'm sorry. Thank you for my dedicated listeners on the podcast, because I had to go bi-weekly over the summer with a move and all the things that were going on in my life. Thank you for staying by me during this transition. I plan on coming back weekly, even if it's just solo episodes, because I know so many of my dedicated listeners really tune in and find this information life-changing. And if you can just take away one tip from every episode, that's all I want. My life has changed. I've helped you, and I can sleep at night. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you right back here next week. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Real Heal and that you learned something new. And before you go, can you do me a quick favor? Take a screenshot right now and share it to Instagram and tag me so I can celebrate you for taking action and improving your health. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please take a minute to leave me a rating and a quick review. This will help others just like you find the show. And do not forget to subscribe, because you will not want to miss out on any of the amazing guest experts that I have coming up very soon. And remember, it's not selfish to take care of yourself. Do one thing today that makes you happy and learn to love life again. And with that, I'm out of here. Talk to you again soon.